CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? We ordered pizza during a sleepover. The delivery guy handed us a box with a QR code that opened a red room. Alright, so this happened last winter, during that weird time between Christmas and New Year's, when no one knows what day it is, and you're just kind of floating around in your own weird little bubble. I was 17, and me and my two best friends, Eli and Noah, decided to do a little post-Christmas sleepover at my place. Nothing crazy, just gaming, horror movies, junk food, all that. It was snowing heavy that night, like the roads were iced over and the wind kept howling outside. My parents were out of town for New Year's. They went to see my aunt in Arizona, so the house was all ours. I live in the suburbs, like not totally in the middle of nowhere, but just far enough from the city that you feel kinda isolated when it's dark and quiet. We were in my basement playing Dead by Daylight, joking around, when Eli suddenly said, "Yo, I'm starving. Let's get pizza or something." I checked my phone. Midnight. Most places were closed or weren't delivering because of the snow, but we found this super sketchy looking pizza place on Uber Eats that I swear I'd never seen before. It was called Santino's Slice. The logo looked like it was made on Microsoft Paint. Just a cartoon pizza with eyes. They had no reviews, no address, no social media presence. Nothing. But it was open and the menu looked cheap. Like, too cheap. A large pepperoni was only $6.66. No joke. We thought it was hilarious, so obviously we ordered it. Big mistake. The app said 30 to 45 minutes. We didn't think much of it. We went back to gaming, but then around 20 minutes later, earlier than expected, we heard a knock at the front door. I paused the game, ran upstairs, and checked the ring cam on my phone. There was no one there, just the pizza box, sitting on the welcome mat. No delivery car, no footsteps in the snow leading away, like the guy had just appeared and vanished. I opened the door, and the pizza box was steaming like it had just come out of the oven. No branding, no receipt, just a plain white box with a big red QR code sticker slapped on top. The label just said, "Enjoy." At first, we thought it was some viral marketing thing. I mean, weird stuff goes down on TikTok all the time, right? Maybe we were gonna scan it and get rickrolled or sent to some ARG. But when Eli scanned it with his phone, it opened a browser, not an app. No logo, just a black page with red text that said, "Welcome to the Red Room. You've been chosen." Then it auto-played a video. At first, we were laughing, like we genuinely thought this was part of the experience. The video was grainy, like it had been recorded on an old flip phone. It showed a dark room, lit only by a single red light bulb. A guy in a ski mask was just standing there, breathing heavily. He didn't say anything, didn't move, just stared at the camera. For 5 whole minutes, we were just kind of frozen. Then, suddenly, the screen glitched and a new message popped up. "We are watching. Leave now or join the show." Then the page crashed. And that's when stuff got really, really weird. We all kind of looked at each other like, that was creepy as hell, but tried to laugh it off. I mean, internet horror is a thing. The Mandela Catalog, Local 58, all those analog horror YouTube channels. I figured someone just made their own creepy pizza gimmick. Eli was like, bro, that's gotta be a prank. People do this stuff to go viral. We opened the box, and the pizza looked normal. I know, you're probably thinking we're idiots for even considering eating it. But the hunger hit different at 1 a.m., so we tried a slice. Honestly, it wasn't bad. Kinda greasy, super salty, but edible. That's when Noah noticed something under the pizza. There was a slip of paper soaked with grease. We pulled it out carefully, and it just said, "You're already in." The lights flickered, not like a full blackout, just a subtle flicker, like someone messing with the power. I live in a newer house, so that never happens. Eli was already nervous. He's the kind of guy who pretends to be chill, but is the first to freak out. Yo, what if this is real? Like, Red Room real? And if you don't know what a Red Room is, it's basically this urban legend about live stream torture shows on the dark web. You pay crypto to watch people get hurt, or worse. Most people say it's a myth, just internet creepypasta stuff, but some people swear they're real. I always thought it was BS until that night. I checked my phone again. We hadn't noticed this before, but after scanning that QR code, my camera app wouldn't open, just kept crashing. Noah's too. The flashlight option was grayed out. Eli's phone died completely, even though it was at 78% a few minutes ago. Dead. Black screen. We were starting to feel watched, like that crawling feeling on the back of your neck when someone's behind you. My blinds were shut. My doors were locked, but I swear I saw a figure on the porch when I glanced at the ring cam again. Tall, still, wearing all red. It disappeared before I could show the others. We were done messing around at this point. I tried to call 911. Call failed. Then I checked my texts and noticed something even worse. A new contact had been added. Just a red circle emoji. No name, no number. I opened it and found a message already sent from my phone. We're in. That's when my basement door slammed shut on its own. Loud. Final. Like someone just locked us out. Or in. We ran downstairs, freaked out, trying to laugh it off, trying to figure out if someone hacked us or we were being pranked. But when we got down there, the TV had turned on by itself. It was playing the same video as the one from the QR code, but this time, the guy in the red-lit room wasn't alone. There was a second person now, strapped to a chair, blindfolded, screaming. We pulled the plug on the TV. Total panic mode now. I told Eli and Noah we needed to get out of the house. Screw the snow. Screw everything. We bolted upstairs, grabbed our jackets and phones, except Eli's was still dead, and Noah's was frozen on the red circle contact. When we opened the front door, the pizza box was back, perfectly placed, fresh steam rising from it. Same QR code on top, only this time there was blood smeared across the side. Not a lot, just enough to know it wasn't sauce. And the note underneath the box. Part 2 begins at 3 a.m. Be ready. It's hard to even write this part. My hands are literally shaking as I type. This is the part that's been playing on loop in my head every night since it happened. It's the part that turned what started as a creepy internet prank into something so real, so disgusting, that I still can't convince myself it wasn't all a nightmare. The pizza box with the blood smear was sitting in the exact same spot we'd found it before, on the welcome mat, perfectly scented, like someone placed it with a ruler. It was still steaming, fresh. I hadn't even closed the door all the way, so I know no one could have put it there without us seeing. But here's where it got worse. This time, the box wasn't sealed. The lid was already cracked open just enough for us to see what was inside. Not pizza. A burner phone. It was one of those cheap black flip phones you can buy at gas stations. No stickers, no brand. Just a glowing red notification light blinking steadily like a heartbeat. Noah muttered something like, "Don't touch it," but Eli had already picked it up. The screen lit up instantly with a video feed. Live. No controls. No way to exit. Just the feed. And it was us. Our faces. Live. From somewhere inside my house. The angle was weird, like from the ceiling. But I know for a fact there were no cameras in my house. My parents are old school. They don't even like smart speakers. But the video was crystal clear. It showed the three of us huddled by the front door, exactly as we were, staring at the phone. There was a small delay in the feed, like a live stream lagging by a second or two. But it wasn't just us on the screen. In the upper left corner, there was a red countdown timer, 2:58:21. It was counting down to 3 a.m. Below the timer, white text appeared. It looked like an old school Windows screensaver, slowly scrolling. Stay where you are. The show begins soon. We freaked. Eli dropped the phone like it was on fire. I grabbed it, flipped it shut, but it instantly opened itself again with a snapping click, the feed still playing. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt. I looked around the living room, searching for hidden cameras. Nothing. The vents, the lights, the windows. Nothing. It was like the walls themselves were watching us. Then Noah's phone buzzed. It was that red circle contact again. This time, it sent a picture. It was me, standing at my window, taken from outside. We locked every door, every window, pushed furniture in front of the entrances like we were barricading ourselves for a zombie apocalypse. But the house didn't feel safe anymore. It felt like a stage. The countdown kept ticking. 2:49, 2:39, 59. The phone buzzed again. This time, it was a new message, just a single link. Against all better judgment, we clicked it. It opened a black web page with a chat box on the side and a grainy video player in the middle. At the top, in bold red text, "The Red Room Live," and below it, 3,421 viewers. It was a live stream of our living room. Thousands of people were already watching. Little usernames kept scrolling up the side of the chat, some laughing, some posting skull emojis, some posting knife emojis, and the messages. God, the messages. Cut the lights. Bring the boy in the hoodie to the basement. This one's mine. They were talking about us. At this point, Eli was crying, not like sobbing, just silent tears running down his face. He kept whispering, "It's a prank, it's a prank," but his voice was shaking like a kid lost in a mall. I tried calling 911 again. The line picked up this time, but there was no operator, just heavy breathing. Then a voice, low and distorted. "Do not hang up. Perform for the viewers." I slammed the phone down so hard the screen cracked. That's when every light in the house went out at once. Total darkness. We grabbed our flashlights from the kitchen drawer, but none of them worked. My phone flashlight still wouldn't turn on. The only light in the entire house was the glow from that burner phone sitting in the pizza box, still streaming. Then, from somewhere downstairs, we heard it. Footsteps. Not slow, careful ones like someone sneaking. Heavy, purposeful. Coming up the stairs. Eli grabbed a kitchen knife. Noah started dialing random numbers on his phone, hoping someone would answer. I picked up a baseball bat I keep by the door. We huddled together, waiting. The footsteps stopped right at the top of the basement stairs. Then the voice came again, but this time it wasn't through the phone. It was in the house. Low, calm, almost amused. Showtime. The countdown on the phone hit 00:00:00. The video feed switched. It wasn't showing us anymore. It was showing a different room. Dark, red lit. A person was tied to a chair, gagged, sobbing, their head jerking like they were trying to scream. But it wasn't some random person. It was my mom. I swear to God. My mom. Same clothes she wore when she left for Arizona. And behind her, in the red glow, stood a tall figure wearing that same all-red outfit I'd seen on the porch. Their face was covered with a plain white mask. The chat on the live stream went wild. She's here early. Take the eyes first. Make the kids watch. I dropped the phone. I couldn't even breathe. My mom was supposed to be in another state. She wasn't even supposed to be in the same time zone. And yet, there she was, tied to a chair in a room drenched in red light. Then, from outside, we heard sirens. Not police sirens, not ambulances. Some weird, low-pitched siren that didn't sound like anything I'd heard before. Like a ship's horn echoing underwater. The figure in red started walking toward the camera in the live stream. Slow, deliberate, their mask filling the entire screen. Then the video cut to black, and the house went silent. We didn't even think. We bolted for the back door, pushed open the sliding glass, and sprinted into the snow barefoot. We didn't care where we were going, just away from that house. But when we reached the edge of the yard and turned back, the house was gone. Not like burned down, not like lights off, just gone. Nothing but a black void where my house had been, like someone deleted it from reality. And standing in the middle of that void was the figure in red, holding my mom's phone. They waved, and then everything went dark. I woke up the next morning in my bed. The house was back. My friends were gone. My phone was back to normal. No red contacts, no QR codes, no burner phone. But when I went downstairs, the pizza box was still on the counter. This time, there was no QR code, just a handwritten note inside. Part 3 begins when you tell your story. When I woke up after that night, everything looked normal. My house was back. Daylight was streaming through the blinds, and the snow outside had already started to melt. But I knew something was wrong before I even got out of bed. The air felt heavier, like the entire room was holding its breath. Eli and Noah were gone. Their shoes were still by the door, their backpacks in the living room, but no sign of them. No messages, no missed calls, nothing. I thought maybe they'd just gone home, but my stomach twisted when I saw my front door was still locked from the inside. And the pizza box, that box, was still sitting on the counter, exactly where I'd left it. This time, there was no QR code, no burner phone, no blood, just a piece of notebook paper folded in half. On the front, written in perfect block letters, "Tell them, or we take more." I opened it. Inside was a list of names, not typed, handwritten in a neat clinical scrawl. My name, Eli's, Noah's, my mom's, and at the very bottom, one last name I didn't recognize. It just said, The Observer. I tried calling Eli. The call wouldn't go through. Same with Noah. Their numbers rang once and then cut to static. I scrolled through Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Nothing. Their profiles were still there, but wiped clean. No posts, no photos, not even profile pictures, like they'd never existed. But my phone had a new app I hadn't installed. No icon, just a small red dot in the corner of my home screen. When I tapped it, it opened instantly to a live video feed. At first, it looked like a normal street view, some random neighborhood, but then the camera tilted and zoomed, like someone was manually moving it. It centered on a figure walking down the street. Noah. Same hoodie, same shoes, walking like a zombie, blank-faced. And then another feed popped up. Eli, sitting in some kind of warehouse, staring straight at the camera, eyes wide open, but not blinking. The app started adding more feeds, one by one, all showing strangers in different places around the world. Tokyo streets, an empty McDonald's in Berlin, a Starbucks in Chicago at night. Every single one of them with that same empty, drained expression. At the top of the app, text scrolled by in red. The game has begun. You are the host. I slammed my phone down on the counter so hard the screen spiderwebbed. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely pick it up again. But then the kitchen light flickered, and that's when I heard the sound. It wasn't footsteps this time. It was laughter, high-pitched, childlike, coming from the vents. I backed away from the kitchen as the sound moved through the house, sliding from vent to vent, like something crawling through the walls. It whispered words between giggles, but it wasn't English. It was like a dozen voices overlapping in a language I didn't recognize. I ran to the front door and yanked it open. Across the street, every single house was dark, curtains drawn, driveways empty, no cars, no people. It was like the whole neighborhood had been scrubbed clean, but there were signs someone or something was there. In the snow, on every lawn, perfectly carved footprints led to the street, but none came back. I bolted upstairs to my room, slammed the door, and locked it. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't the red dot app. It was a notification from YouTube. A new channel had subscribed to me. The Observer. I clicked the profile. No banner, no icon, no uploads. Just a live stream thumbnail with my house on it. The title read, 3 a.m., the final round. I clicked it. The video opened instantly. It was a split screen. On the left was my bedroom. Me, crouched by the window, phone in hand. On the right was a room I'd never seen before, painted entirely black, except for a single white chair in the center. Someone was sitting in it, head down, bound at the wrists. Then the camera shifted. It was Eli. He lifted his head slowly, eyes glassy, lips moving. No sound came out. The chat on the live stream was already exploding. Thousands of usernames scrolling by, all saying the same thing. Play the game. Play or lose them. Take the choice. I typed into the chat, hands trembling. What do you want? Almost instantly, a new message appeared in bold red letters. Send the code, or they die. I didn't know what that meant. There was no code. But then the live stream zoomed in on Eli's hands. One of them had something carved into the palm. Deep, fresh cuts forming numbers. 1713. I didn't want to do it, but my phone vibrated again. The red dot app opened by itself. At the top of the screen it said, enter the code. There was a keypad. I typed 1713. The app went black, and then my bedroom door slowly creaked open, even though I had locked it. Standing in the doorway was a man, tall, dressed in black from head to toe, face covered with a smooth white mask. No eyes, no mouth, just blank. He stepped inside without a sound, tilting his head like a curious animal. In his hand was a black envelope. He set it down on my desk, turned, and walked back out. I couldn't move for a full minute. When I finally opened the envelope, a single Polaroid slid out. It was a picture of me sleeping in my bed, taken from above. The app on my phone started flashing. A new feed had appeared. This time, it wasn't Eli or Noah. It was me. But I wasn't in my room. I was tied to the chair in the black room. My own eyes were staring back at me, empty and lifeless. At the bottom of the screen, the text scrolled by. "You're not the host. You're the next broadcast." The countdown began again. 2 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. 3 hours until 3 a.m. That was 3 nights ago. I don't know how I'm even writing this now. Every time I close my eyes, I see that black room. Every time I open a social media app, there's a new red dot waiting. The observer is following me everywhere. And last night, a new Polaroid showed up in my mailbox. It was Eli, but he wasn't tied to the chair anymore. He was standing behind me, smiling. After the third night, I stopped sleeping. Not just because of the nightmares. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, it wasn't black. It was red. Red rooms, red lights, red countdowns, red faces. It was like whatever this thing was, it had found a way into my head. Every reflection I looked at, mirrors, phone cameras, even car windows, showed me, but wrong. Always smiling, always watching, always behind me. I threw away the pizza box, burned it actually. But the next day, another one appeared on my porch. Same exact box, still warm, except this time there was no food inside, just a handful of human teeth, all molars, some cracked. One still had a bit of gum tissue clinging to it, drying like jerky. I couldn't even scream. I just stared at them for what felt like an hour, then grabbed them and tossed them into the sewer grate by the sidewalk. That was a mistake, because the next night I heard them, clacking, from inside the walls, from under the floorboards, from beneath my bed. They weren't just teeth, they were his. I say his, but I don't think the observer is even a person. Not anymore. Maybe once. Maybe a long time ago, before it became whatever it is now. I started digging. That was the worst idea I've ever had. I downloaded Tor, went deeper than I should have into forums I'll never name. Forums with black backgrounds and names that didn't use real words. Just strings of symbols and broken Unicode. You don't search for the observer, you summon it. Every thread said the same thing. Once you see the red light, you've already been chosen. The red room isn't a place. It's not just a live stream or some sick underground show. It's a network, a growing living web of people who were caught and turned into watchers, recorders, puppets. Some of them still think they're human, but you can tell by their eyes. They blink sideways. I tracked the IP from the Red Dot app. Don't ask how. I barely understand what I did. It led to a server farm in rural Estonia that burned down 2 years ago. Not like shut down. I mean it literally caught fire and melted. Dozens of people died, or went missing, or both. It's hard to tell. The owner, a guy named Eric Vanek, a programmer who went off-grid in 2017 after claiming to invent an AI that could record human suffering in real time and play it back across different dimensions. He started a YouTube channel called Observer_0, but it was wiped clean after 1 week. The only video that still floats around in re-uploads is titled, "I cut my eyes so I could see it better." I watched it. I shouldn't have. The video starts with him smiling at the camera, holding a dull spoon. Then it cuts. Dozens of jump cuts, each worse than the last. Screams with no mouth movement. Static that forms words when you pause it just right. I froze the frame at 00:02:41, and there I was, in the background, just a blurry face in a dark hallway. Me, watching him, from inside the screen. That's when I realized I hadn't slept in days, but I was still dreaming. This wasn't real anymore. Or maybe reality had been peeled back like skin, and I was seeing the nerves underneath. The observer wasn't following me. I was becoming it. 2 nights ago, I tried to run. I packed a bag, deleted every app, turned off my phone, smashed the SIM, and just walked. I didn't care where. I didn't look back. But the world wouldn't let me go. Every billboard I passed had a new ad. Red backgrounds with the words, "Eyes open." Every bus stop bench, red seats. Every face I passed on the street looked a little off. Too symmetrical, too still. When I stopped at a gas station to use the bathroom, there was a red QR code sticker on the mirror. I ignored it. When I came back out, the cashier was gone. In his place, standing perfectly still behind the register, was Noah. Dead eyes, no expression, holding another burner phone. He handed it to me. Didn't say a word. I opened it. The screen lit up red, and the message appeared again. 3 a.m. Broadcast begins. I ran until my legs gave out, collapsed in a motel off the highway. I didn't even remember checking in, but somehow I had a key. Room 108. There was a TV in the room. I didn't turn it on. It turned on by itself, and the Red Room feed started playing again. But this time, it wasn't Eli, or Noah, or my mum. It was a new figure, taller, skinnier, eyes covered in bandages, mouth sewn shut, hooks in the cheeks to keep the smile wide. And the chat was different this time. Not usernames, just mine, repeated over and over and over again. You. I tried to smash the TV, but it didn't crack. I pulled the plug. Nothing. Still played. Still smiling. I grabbed the motel phone and dialed 911 again. Desperate. Just needed someone real. Someone to say this wasn't all in my head. The voice on the other end answered after 1 ring, but it wasn't an operator. It was my own voice. You can't save yourself. You are already archived. Click. The dial tone turned into that clacking noise again. Teeth on tile. Growing closer. This morning, I checked out of the motel. The clerk didn't even blink when I handed him a blood-stained key. He just said, "Tell your viewers we're ready." I don't know what that means anymore. I'm not even sure I'm still writing this from my own hands. I don't feel hunger. I don't feel sleep. I only feel watched. Every time I speak, I hear it echo a second too late, like someone's recording and playing it back just a beat behind. And I saw my reflection today, not in a mirror, in someone else's eyes, a woman at a cafe in Prague. She looked at me and blinked sideways, and she smiled. The observer is not human. It doesn't want to kill you. It wants to make you one of its cameras, a walking live stream, a host, a node, a channel. The pizza was just a delivery method. You accepted the terms the second you scanned the code, and now it's your turn. I don't even know if these words are mine anymore. The keyboard feels wrong beneath my hands. like I'm pressing teeth instead of keys. My fingers feel heavy, like they're being pulled by invisible strings. It's been 5 nights since the first pizza box. I haven't left my house since the motel. My windows are covered in garbage bags. My mirrors are smashed. My phone is dead, but still turns on at 3 a.m. sharp, glowing red like a heartbeat. Tonight is the night. The countdown has started again. Only this time, there's no timer on the screen. It's on my skin, carved into my forearm while I slept. 2:59:00. When I woke up, the numbers were fresh and bleeding. I didn't do it. At least I don't remember doing it. The house smells like rot now. Not food, not garbage, rotting people. Even though I'm alone, I can hear movement at night. Bare feet slapping against tile, nails scratching at the walls. My closet door won't stay shut. Yesterday morning, when I opened it, there was a black box sitting on the floor. Inside was a VHS tape and a knife. The tape wasn't labeled, but when I put it in the old VCR my dad left in the attic, it started playing immediately. No intro, no glitches, just a static camera pointed at a chair. The same chair from the red room, and sitting in it, strapped down with zip ties, was me. Not a video of me from the past, not a photo, not an AI deepfake. Me, right now, bleeding from the arm with the countdown carved into it. Behind the chair, the tall masked figure from the previous feeds stood completely still, except this time, it wasn't wearing its mask. It was wearing my face. I shut off the tape. My TV turned on by itself again, but it wasn't the usual red room feed. It was a live stream of my neighborhood. Every single house on my block was empty. Cars left, with doors wide open, engines running. Dog leashes on the sidewalk, with no dogs attached. But every window was glowing red, and in every window, someone was standing perfectly still, watching. When I zoomed in, I realized they weren't strangers. They were the people from the feeds. Tokyo, Berlin, Chicago, all of them, now on my street, their eyes blank. And in the very center of the street, on the manhole cover, was a stack of pizza boxes, dozens of them, all steaming. I couldn't breathe. My lungs felt like they were being filled with wet paper. My heart didn't even feel like mine anymore. It beat in time with the red glow from the TV. I tried to run to the bathroom to splash water on my face. The mirror above the sink was cracked, but still reflecting enough to see. And that's when I finally saw it. I wasn't blinking at all. My pupils were bleeding outwards, red spilling into black, until my entire iris was the same color as the countdown on my arm. When I opened my mouth to scream, the sound didn't come from me. It came from the phone on the counter. My scream, delayed by exactly 1 second, playing back at me like a recording. I went back to the living room. The phone had turned itself on again. The app was open. The feed was back. This time, it wasn't a chair or a red room. It was the stage. And above the stage, written in huge block letters on a banner, the final broadcast. The camera panned. Rows of people were seated in the audience. Thousands of them, silent, faces blank, all wearing the same white mask. Then the camera turned back to the stage. A man walked out, tall, skeletal, wearing an apron splattered with something dark. In one hand, a pizza cutter. In the other, a remote. He pressed the button. The curtain opened, and there I was, tied to the chair, knife in my lap, eyes wide open. No sound coming from my mouth, but my body was shaking. Above me, a giant screen was showing my own face typing these words. The chat on the live stream was going insane. Cut it now. Take the eyes. Upload him. We're waiting. The man with the apron handed me the knife, not on the stage, through the screen. My real hand closed around it, cold, metal, real, and the voice came again. But this time, it wasn't in the phone, or the TV, or the vents. It was inside my head. If you don't cut, we will. The countdown on my arm hit 00:00:00:00. The room went silent. Everyone on the live stream, thousands of masked faces, turned their heads to look directly at me. Not the screen, not the feed, me. And they smiled. Their mouths opened all at once, wider than mouths should open, until the skin at the corners split and bled. In perfect unison, they whispered, "Welcome to the network." I don't remember what happened next. Only flashes, the knife, the red light, my own reflection laughing at me. When I woke up, it was daylight again. My house was empty. My arm was clean. No cuts, no countdown. My phone was gone. But there was a new pizza box on the table. Cold. Inside, no food, no phone, no note. Just a mirror, cut perfectly to fit the box. When I looked into it, my reflection didn't move. It just stared, smiling. And then, on the glass, words started to appear. Not written, not carved, just forming in condensation, like breath on a window. The broadcast has begun. I can hear clapping now, not from outside, from inside the walls, slow, rhythmic, like applause. And every time I blink, I see another face behind mine. Eli, Noah, my mom, the cashier, all of them, their mouths opening wider, 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 waiting. If you're reading this, it means the signal reached you. That's how it spreads. Not by code, not by pizza, by stories, by the act of telling. You scanned my words the way we scanned the QR code. You're already in. Check your phone. See if there's a red dot now. Listen for the clacking. It's not a sound, it's your own teeth. My friend disappeared after a Halloween party. I found her dancing on a dark web clown auction livestream. Alright, so I never post stuff like this. I'm more of a watch weird crap at 2 a.m. on YouTube and pretend I'm fine kind of person. But after what happened last Halloween, I don't even feel like the same person anymore. I don't know if this is some elaborate prank gone too far, or if something actually wrong is happening behind the scenes that we're not supposed to know about. But I swear, I saw my best friend, Kaylee, on a live stream on the dark web, wearing clown makeup, dancing like a puppet, while strangers in masks bid on her. Let me back up. So I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. Pretty chill place overall. Last Halloween, me and Kaylee hit up this house party that some rich kid from ASU was throwing. One of those massive houses with a rooftop pool and custom neon signs that say stuff like "Get Lit" or "Die Trying" or whatever. Real Instagrammable type of party. You know the type. Kaylee dressed up like a cute clown. Ironic, right? Rainbow wig, smeared red lipstick, oversized striped stockings. She was the type to go all out for aesthetics, even if it was low-key disturbing. I was a skeleton. Lame, I know. Anyway, the party was solid. There were TikTokers there. One of those random guys who always films food reviews in his car. You've definitely seen him. And even someone who looked just like that girl from the "Shut Up Ashley" meme, but nobody could confirm. Everyone was either recording for IG stories or doing lines of something that wasn't sugar in the upstairs bathroom. It was chaos in a fun way. You know, Halloween vibes. Around 2 a.m., I lost track of Kaylee. I figured she dipped early. She does that sometimes. Ghost parties, goes home, DMs me 5 hours later with, "Sorry lol, I was crying in my car listening to Mitski." But she didn't message me, or post, or even go home. I texted her the next morning. Nothing. Called her. Straight to voicemail. Her Snapchat score hadn't gone up, which if you know Kaylee, is impossible. She's the queen of streaks. I mean, she had like 47 people she snapped daily, even if it was just her cat blinking. Her last Instagram story was from the party. It was a boomerang of her spinning with a Jack Daniels bottle in one hand, rainbow wig half slipping off. I screenshotted it later when things got weird. Her parents filed a missing persons report by day 3. They were convinced she got in a car accident or was maybe assaulted after the party. They started blaming the host, blaming me. I felt like I was going insane. But here's where it gets disturbing. Around day 6, I was doom scrolling YouTube like usual, watching those creepy animated story channels. Here's my story, Mr. Nightmare, wanted to know, that kind of stuff. One video popped up in my recommendations. It was called The Clown Stream That Shouldn't Exist, Real Footage. The thumbnail looked like a screen grab from a security cam. Just a girl in smeared makeup and oversized shoes standing in a dark red-lit room, like some kind of basement. The thing is, it looked just like Kaylee. I clicked immediately. It was one of those, I found this video on the dark web stories. The narrator was a chill dude. Sounded like he was eating cereal the whole time. He talked about going down a rabbit hole on a Tor browser and stumbling across a live stream titled Clown Parade. Only real ones. Bid. The guy said it had a paywall. $200 in Bitcoin to get in. But someone had posted a screen recording of it in a sketchy Reddit thread before the mods nuked it. He saved the file. Showed clips of it in the video. It was real. I watched as 3 girls in full clown costumes, weirdly familiar ones, stood motionless in a dim red room with this strange mechanical music playing, like a broken calliope. Every now and then, they'd twitch, like they were being told to move, or controlled. Then they'd dance, like TikTok dances, but off, laggy, unnatural, like their limbs didn't belong to them. People in anonymous masks appeared on screen every few seconds to place bids. The chat was full of nonsense, and strings of binary. Every once in a while, someone would comment, "sold," and a girl would disappear behind a curtain. Gone. Then I saw her. Kaylee. Not just a girl who looked like her. Her. Same rainbow wig. Same Jack Daniels costume prop. Same tiny heart tattoo under her eye. She looked empty, like her soul had checked out. She swayed side to side, like she couldn't hear the music, but was trying to stay in rhythm. The narrator even pointed her out, said, "This one showed up the night after Halloween. She only danced once, then never again." My heart stopped. I replayed it like 50 times, paused, zoomed, took screenshots. It was her. I tried to comment on the video, but it got deleted 2 hours later. The whole channel was gone the next morning. The Reddit thread where it was originally posted. 404 error. The screen recording download. Broken link. But it wasn't over. Because that night, I got a DM on Instagram. No profile pic. Username was just at Clown Dropbox 1994. It said, "You're looking in the wrong places. She's not gone. She's performing." Then a link. A Tor link. I clicked the link. I didn't even hesitate, which sounds insane now. But you'd do the same if your best friend vanished and then showed up dressed like a broken circus doll on a live stream. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely type the tour address right. The site loaded instantly. No warnings, no login page, just a black background with white text that said, "Welcome to the parade." Below that, there was a menu. Not words, symbols, masks, knives, balloons, even one that looked like a tooth. I hovered over the balloon icon. It opened a live chat. People were typing in all caps, all symbols and numbers, like some secret code. The stream was blank at first, just a black screen with faint carnival music playing like it was coming from inside a drain pipe. Then the screen flickered. A room appeared, not like a normal room. It was more like a set. The walls were covered with plastic sheeting that had been painted over with sloppy circus stripes, red and yellow, and the floor looked sticky, like it had been hosed down and hadn't dried. And there was a chair, one of those heavy old wooden hotel chairs with a deep red cushion. It sat dead center under a single flickering light. A man in a mask entered frame. The mask wasn't a clown though. That would have almost been better. It was a rubber human face, too realistic. No eye holes, just black mesh where the pupils should be. He wore a crisp white hotel uniform with gold buttons and gloves like some 1940s bellhop. In his hand, an old-fashioned hotel key. Number 4. He held it up to the camera, then pointed it at me. I swear to God, he pointed at me. Then the chat started spamming numbers. 4. The screen glitched, and suddenly there was a menu again, but this time it had an address on it. A real address. 4th floor, room 214, Regency Suites Hotel, 11 p.m. I googled it. It was a real hotel downtown, near Old Town Scottsdale. Kind of old and creepy, like the kind of place traveling salesmen stayed at in the 60s. I'd driven past it before, the sign flickering even in daylight. I don't know what possessed me to go, but I did. The lobby was empty when I arrived. Not slow night, empty. Empty. The front desk was unmanned, a guest book lying open like someone had just signed in and left. The only sound was a soda machine humming in the corner. The carpet smelled damp, like mold mixed with lemon cleaner. The elevators didn't work, so I took the stairs. The 4th floor was worse. Every door was shut, except one at the end of the hall. Room 214. The door was open, just a crack. No sound, no light, just the faint smell of popcorn and bleach. I pushed it open. It wasn't a hotel room anymore. They'd gutted it. No bed, no TV, no bathroom door. Just a huge empty space draped in circus-striped fabric, like the room from the stream. The same sticky floor, the same single chair under a hanging light, and on the chair, a laptop. It was open, running the same site I'd just been on. The chat was active. People were typing in real time. He's here. He made it. Start it. Then the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. The laptop flickered and switched to a live feed. It was me, standing in that room, being streamed. I stepped back and almost slipped on something slick. When I looked down, I saw scuff marks on the floor. Drag marks, like something or someone had been pulled across it. There were faint red streaks, half wiped, disappearing under the striped curtains. I heard a sound, behind the curtains, breathing. The curtain moved. A hand came out, not a normal hand. It was painted white, like a mime's glove, but flesh, cracked and peeling, fingernails bitten down to nothing. It reached for the chair, then pulled itself forward. A figure emerged. It was Kaylee, or what was left of her. Her wig was gone. Her real hair, blonde, was matted with something dark. Her face was smeared with dried red and black paint. She was barefoot. Her feet were raw, toes bent at unnatural angles like she'd been forced to dance for hours. But the worst part was her eyes, wide open, pupils blown. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me, but also like she did. Her lips trembled like she wanted to say something, but couldn't. Then I noticed the wires, thin black cords attached to her wrists and ankles, disappearing up into the ceiling. They were taut, like marionette strings. Her body jerked forward suddenly. She took a step toward me without moving her feet. Another step, another. Her arms rose like a puppet's. She was being made to move. She got close enough for me to smell her. Sweat, blood, makeup remover, popcorn. She opened her mouth. It made a dry clicking sound, like she was trying to speak but couldn't form words. Then the laptop started playing music, that same broken carnival tune from the stream, and Kaylee started to dance. Her movements were all wrong. Her limbs bent like she had no joints, just rubber. Her head twitched at odd angles. Her eyes rolled back. She twirled, stumbled, twitched again. It looked painful, like every step was breaking her from the inside. The chat was going insane. Bid starts now. Take the guest. New actor. Trade. I backed into the wall, shaking. I tried to grab her, but the second my hands touched her, the lights flickered, and she was yanked backward by the cords into the darkness behind the curtain. Gone. The laptop screen turned black. Then white text appeared. She's been sold. You're next. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. 1 second, I was in the room. The next, I was on the street, gasping for air, holding my phone like it was going to save me. When I looked back, the entire floor was dark, like it had never been lit at all. I tried to call the cops. I tried to explain. They searched room 214. They said it was just a normal hotel room. Bed, TV, everything. Nothing strange. No laptop. No Kaylee. They didn't believe me. But when I got home and opened my phone, my Instagram had a new message request from a clown Dropbox 1994. It was a photo of me standing in that room with the caption, "Round 2 starts soon." I didn't sleep after what happened at the hotel. I didn't even lie down. I sat on the floor of my bathroom with the light on, scrolling through my phone, watching my own hands shake in real time. It had been 36 hours since I'd been inside that room. My calls to the cops had gone nowhere. Kaylee was still missing, and now whoever ran that site knew my face, my location, my name. I opened Instagram. The photo from @ClownDropbox 1994 was still there. Me, in the circus room, looking like prey. But now there was another one waiting. A video this time. It was a shaky clip of me sleeping in my own bed. Except I hadn't been to bed. It zoomed closer, showing my face at an angle like the camera was on the ceiling above me. My chest rose and fell, as if I was breathing, but my eyes were slightly open, like a corpse. Below it, one line of text. "You're already in the show." I dropped my phone. It skidded across the tile. For a few seconds, the only thing I could hear was my heart hammering in my ears. Then the music started. It was faint at first, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once, like a cheap carousel winding up inside the walls. My bathroom mirror fogged, even though the air was cold. Words began to appear across it, not written in lipstick, not in marker. They formed themselves, backwards, like a reflection of text behind me. 11 p.m., basement. Don't be late. I blinked, and they were gone. The next 12 hours felt like being inside a nightmare you can't wake up from. Every screen in my apartment glitched. The TV, my laptop, even my microwave. I unplugged everything, but the faint carousel tune kept coming back through my phone speaker, even when it was powered off. By evening, my doorbell rang. Once, then again, then a third time. I looked through the peephole. A box sat on the welcome mat. No delivery driver, no car. It was an old wooden box, small enough to hold in one hand. The lid was painted with cheap circus stripes. I brought it inside and set it on the counter. My fingers left sweat marks on the wood. Inside, under shredded newspaper, was a hotel key. Brass, number B, and a mask. Not a clown mask. A blank white mask shaped like my own face. No mouth hole, no eye holes. Just mesh where the pupils should be. Underneath it, a folded card. Wear it when you arrive. I don't know why I went. Maybe because by then I knew running wasn't an option. They had Kaylee. They had me. They'd been in my house. The key led to a door on the hotel's lower level. I hadn't even noticed before. Half hidden behind a vending machine. I moved the machine enough to slip past and use the key. The door swung open on its own. The basement was freezing. Concrete walls, dripping pipes. Someone had hung carnival lights along the ceiling, but half were burned out, leaving long stretches of shadow. The smell hit me next. Not just mold. Something sour. Old popcorn mixed with iron. Down a narrow corridor was another door, painted bright red like a funhouse entrance. A sign above it read, "Performer Entrance." I put the mask on. My breath fogged the inside immediately. When I stepped through, the room opened up like an underground theater. Concrete bleachers rose on both sides, filled with people in masks of all shapes. Plague doctors, blank faces, porcelain dolls. None spoke. They just watched. In the center was a stage. No curtains, no props. Just a large square painted with concentric circles like a target. A man in a full ringmaster outfit stepped forward. He had no mask, but his face didn't look real. The skin was smooth like wax, the eyes glassy and dead. His voice boomed from hidden speakers, even though his mouth barely moved. "Welcome to the parade." Everyone in the bleachers began tapping their shoes in unison. Tap, tap, tap. It echoed like a heartbeat. From a side door, 2 performers shuffled out. They were barefoot, their costumes filthy, their movements jerky. Wires trailed from their wrists into the ceiling. One of them was Kaylee. Her eyes met mine, or at least I think they did. Her mouth opened slightly as if to speak, but nothing came out. Her arms jerked upward like a marionette. The ringmaster spread his arms. "New blood," he pointed at me. The masked crowd erupted into clapping without sound, just their hands slapping together silently. A trapdoor opened under my feet, and metal cuffs snapped around my ankles. I stumbled forward onto the painted square. 2 more wires dropped from the ceiling like snakes and clipped themselves to my wrists. Cold jolted through me, like electricity, but deeper. I couldn't move on my own anymore. It felt like invisible fingers digging into my muscles, pulling my joints where they wanted. My body began to dance without my permission. Every twitch hurt like bone on bone. My teeth chattered from the strain. The crowd started typing on tablets built into the bleachers. The ringmaster read their bids aloud. 1 night, 1 week, full ownership. My vision blurred. I saw Kaylee across from me, her head lolling. Her lips moved soundlessly. Run. But I couldn't run. The wires jerked me into a spin, then another, faster. My feet skidded on the painted circles until I slipped and cracked my knee on the floor. The crowd clapped harder. I felt something inside me snap. A screen lowered from the ceiling. On it, images flickered. Me at the party, me at the hotel, me asleep in my bed. But then new images appeared, ones that hadn't happened yet. Me chained, me in a cage, me with makeup smeared across my face, eyes rolled back, dancing. The ringmaster's voice boomed. Sold. The wires yanked me backward into the dark like Kaylee before. I landed hard on cold metal. My hands were free but numb. The space was tiny, like a shipping crate. I could hear muffled music and faint sobbing nearby. Someone whispered my name from the darkness. Then the crate began to move. That was 3 days ago. I don't know where I am now. The crate opened only once to shove a bottle of water inside. There's no light except the glow from a tiny screen mounted on the wall. It shows a countdown. 00:13:42. Underneath, your performance begins. I can hear footsteps above me and faint, broken music. Kaylee's voice, somewhere close, singing off-key. And I think there's another crate next to mine. Someone inside is scratching at the walls. I stopped counting how long I'd been in that crate. The air smelled like old coins and wet cardboard. The walls were lined with something soft, like padding, but it wasn't foam. It felt fibrous, damp. Every time I pressed my fingers into it, they came back smelling faintly of copper and mildew. The countdown on the small screen ticked down until it hit 0. 0:00:00:0. The screen flickered and new text appeared. Stand up. The crate shifted, tilted, and the front panel fell away with a metallic clang. A corridor stretched ahead, lined with flickering light bulbs swinging from cords. Somewhere far away, I heard the faint sound of children laughing. It wasn't playful laughter. It was the kind you hear from animatronics at a dead mall. Off-pitch, pre-recorded, looping. I stepped out. My legs were stiff, trembling. The corridor walls were covered in Polaroids, thousands of them. People in costumes, people screaming, people frozen mid-dance. Every face blurred by motion or scratched out with something sharp. When I looked closer, I saw Kaylee in one of them. Her eyes were rolled up, and her mouth was sewn shut. A sharp noise echoed down the corridor, metal dragging on concrete. I turned. A figure stood at the far end. It wasn't the ringmaster. It wasn't Kaylee. It was something else. A person, I think, wearing a sagging clown suit, stained dark brown at the knees. Its mask was crudely painted with a smile, but the mouth hole had been stretched wider, jagged, as though cut open by broken glass. It carried a shepherd's crook made of twisted metal, the end fitted with a hook. It began walking toward me, slow but deliberate. The sound wasn't footsteps. It was more like a slapping, wet and uneven, as though its shoes were filled with water. The screen on the wall next to me lit up again. Keep moving. Follow the lights. I ran. The corridor opened into a room even larger than the underground theater. It looked like a warehouse, but had been transformed into some demented carnival. Rides half assembled, mirrors cracked, balloons deflating in piles on the floor. A stage was in the center. Bright white lights illuminated it from above, making everything else fall into shadow. On the stage were cages, 6 of them. Each cage held a person, not people anymore. They were dressed in mismatched costumes, ballerina skirts, magician capes, mime makeup. Their faces were painted white, their mouths sewn shut, their arms bound behind their backs. All of them were swaying in unison to music. Only they could hear. In the cage closest to me, a man's fingers were gone. Just stumps. He pressed his face to the bars and stared at me with hollow eyes, tears streaking down his paint. His lips moved soundlessly, forming words I couldn't hear. The lights overhead flickered. The ringmaster's voice filled the room again, disembodied. The guest arrives. The show begins. The music started. It wasn't a tune this time. It was just noise. A calliope slowed down and distorted, like metal screaming. The cages opened. One by one, the performers stepped out. They didn't walk toward the stage. They crawled. Their knees left trails on the floor. Some were missing shoes, some missing nails, one missing an entire foot, but dragging herself forward anyway. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt locked. A spotlight hit me. The screen on the wall flickered again. Dance. The wires dropped from the ceiling. Thicker this time. Cold metal prongs jabbed into my wrists and shoulders, clamping down like claws. My body convulsed. I could feel something sliding under my skin. Not just electricity. Something else. Like cold fingers pushing their way through muscle fibers, hooking into tendons. My arms rose. My knees bent. My head jerked to the side. And then I began to move. It was like my body was a puppet, and my mind was trapped somewhere in the back, forced to watch. My arms flung outward, my spine bent, my mouth opened in a silent scream as my jaw dislocated slightly from the force. The crowd erupted into silent clapping again. I hadn't even noticed them at first. They were sitting in the shadows along the walls, hundreds of them in their masks, all holding up tablets, all bidding. The ringmaster's voice rolled over them like thunder. Who will own this one? Who will make them dance forever? I spun faster. My bones popped audibly. My shoulder felt like it tore, but the wires forced it back into place. I fell to my knees and kept moving like my joints were gone. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her. Kaylee. Not on stage. Not in a cage. Behind the crowd. She was standing upright, her eyes sharp, her hands trembling. The makeup on her face was smeared, but she looked more like herself than she had in weeks. She was holding a key. She mouthed something at me. Drop. I didn't know how, but in that moment, I let my body go limp. The wires yanked me upright again, but gave just enough slack for me to fall forward, off the painted square. My face hit the floor hard. Kaylee moved fast. She darted from the shadows and slammed something into a control box, hidden behind the stage. I hadn't noticed it before. Sparks erupted. The wires went slack. Every performer on stage collapsed at once, like marionettes with cut strings. Some screamed into their sewn mouths. The ringmaster's voice rose in a static-filled screech. Security! The clown thing with the hook came back, sprinting now. Its wet footsteps slapped against the concrete. Kaylee grabbed my arm, dragging me toward a service door at the edge of the warehouse. She was whispering frantically, but I couldn't understand the words. My ears rang with the noise of the music collapsing into static. We burst through the door into a long service tunnel. No lights, just darkness and the smell of wet earth. Behind us, the clown's footsteps grew louder, echoing off the walls. We ran for what felt like forever until we reached a ladder. Kaylee shoved me toward it. I climbed, my fingers slipping on the metal rungs, slick with something. She climbed behind me. Above us, a grate opened to the night sky. Cold air hit my face. We crawled out into an empty parking lot. When I turned around, the grate was gone, just a solid slab of concrete. Kaylee collapsed to her knees, coughing. Her voice was raw when she finally spoke. "They're going to follow us." I knelt next to her, shaking, blood dripping from my nose. "What is this? Who are they?" She didn't look at me. She just whispered, "It's not about who they are. It's about who's watching." Then she handed me the key she'd been holding. It was cold, brass, stamped with a number, EXIT. When I looked back up, she was gone. That was last night. I'm in a motel miles away now. My hands still tremble when I type. The TV turns itself on sometimes, showing blank screens. My phone vibrates with notifications, but when I check, there's nothing there. And this morning, under my door, I found a folded piece of paper. It just said, "Tonight, final performance." And taped to it was another hotel key. This one wasn't brass. It was bone. The key was made of bone, not plastic, not resin. I knew the difference the second I touched it. Cold, brittle, with little hairline fractures, like it had been carved from the femur of something once alive. Someone, maybe? It was etched with tiny scratch marks, like someone had tried to claw their way out of it. It didn't feel like an invitation. It felt like a warning. There was no note this time, no address, no time, just that key. But when I held it, my phone vibrated once. No text, no call, no notification. The screen turned itself on and displayed a single line across a black screen. "You know where to go." I did. The motel mirror behind me reflected it first. My eyes weren't mine. They were glassy, black around the rims, twitching slightly out of sync with my actual movements. I blinked, and when I looked again, my reflection was smiling, but I wasn't. I packed a bag without thinking. I don't even remember choosing what to bring. It felt like something was moving my limbs for me again, the same way they did on stage. I was being pulled by invisible strings. The outside world felt too quiet, like someone had pressed mute on reality. No cars, no wind. Even the neon sign outside the motel had stopped buzzing. The air smelled like rot and cotton candy. I didn't call anyone. There was no one left to call. Kaylee was missing again. Vanished the moment we escaped that night. Her socials were wiped. Every post gone. Every tag removed. Her Spotify stopped at the same time, like she was erased from the algorithm. And me? I didn't exist online anymore either. My accounts were still there, but my photos weren't mine. They'd been replaced with stills from the performances. Me smiling, me dancing, me screaming with no sound. The final performance wasn't for them. It was for everyone. I went back to the hotel. Not the same one. This one was deeper into the city. An old building behind a boarded-up McDonald's, spray-painted symbols covering the bricks, windows blacked out with thick tape. No name, no lights, but the door was unlocked. Inside, complete silence. Everything was covered in white sheets, furniture, mirrors, even the lights. A thin film of dust over everything. It didn't feel like a hotel. It felt like a mausoleum. There was one desk. On it, a guest book. I flipped it open. Only one entry on the last page. Performer, number 444. Show, final. Price, already paid. The bone key fit into a door just past the lobby. No number, just a red handprint smeared across it. The kind of mark someone would leave while dying. I stepped through. It was a theater, not like before, not industrial. This one was ornate, red velvet everywhere, chandeliers above, marble statues watching from the corners. The kind of place you'd see on a postcard from a haunted European opera house. But the seats were all full. Hundreds of figures in masks, not clown masks anymore. These were human faces, latex, hyper-realistic, all with slightly open mouths, some smiling too wide, others weeping. Their bodies didn't move, but their eyes followed me, every single one. I walked down the aisle to the stage. My name was already printed on a card taped to the floor. Performer 444. I stood in place. No wires dropped this time, no metal clamps. Instead, the curtain rose. The room behind the curtain was pitch black. A single spotlight clicked on. In it, Kaylee, strapped to a wheel, like a magician's assistant, except her face was mangled. One eye swollen shut, one arm twisted at a wrong angle. Her lips were trembling, and I could see stitches in her cheek, like someone had been sewing her face into a permanent smile and gave up halfway. And beside her stood the new ringmaster. He wore no costume, no colors, just a black suit, black gloves, and a white mask molded into the face of a baby. Oversized cheeks, fake dimples, dead doll eyes. He held a remote, and he spoke for the first time, not through speakers, not pre-recorded. His voice was real, and it was inhuman. You were always meant to finish what she couldn't. He pressed the button. The wheel began to spin, slowly at first, then faster. Kaylee's body flung side to side, her hair whipping in arcs. She was screaming, but no sound came out. Her mouth only opened wider and wider. Blood ran down her chin, from her stitched cheeks. On the floor around me, symbols began to glow, chalk lines forming spirals, eyes and marionette strings. They pulsed with red light, syncing with my heartbeat. The audience leaned forward. I heard joints cracking, bones shifting. The latex masks began melting. Underneath were their real faces, rotting, burnt, some still alive, all watching. "Dance," the ringmaster whispered. I didn't move. He tilted his head. "Dance, or she dies." He pressed another button. Spikes emerged from the wheel, thin rusted nails along the edge. It didn't stop spinning. Kaylee's arm hit the edge, a snap and spray of red. I stepped forward without meaning to. My legs moved like I'd been rehearsing this all along. I started to dance, but this wasn't like before. No wires, no outside force. This was me. And as I moved, I could feel it happening, pieces of myself peeling away. With every step, every spin, every twitch of my arms, I was giving something up. My face began to stretch into a smile that wasn't mine. My skin crawled, like things were moving under it. The lights overhead burned hotter. The audience was standing now, masks at their feet, faces slack with hunger. Kaylee had stopped moving. The wheel slowed. The ringmaster stepped into the light. His mask cracked straight down the middle, and underneath, it was my face. He smiled with my mouth, spoke with my voice. "You've always been part of the show. We just needed you to understand the role." Then the music stopped. I was back in the motel. The sun was rising. My hands were clean. No wounds, no blood, except on the floor, a mask, white, molded into my face. And in the mirror, my reflection blinked before I did. I checked my phone. One new video had been posted to every single one of my accounts. No title, no description. It showed me, dancing, crying, bleeding, in front of a crowd of faceless things. Kaylee on the wheel, the ringmaster watching. I tried to delete it. The app crashed. Every time. The view count ticked up in real time. 100,000, 245,000, 1.1 million. Comments began to appear. I thought this was fake. This gave me nightmares. Who's the girl with the stitched face? I swear I saw him in a live show last week. Where's the full version? I want to see it again. He's mine now. Dance for me. I turned off the phone, but the music started again. In the walls, in my head, in the reflection, and in the mirror, I saw the ringmaster. He was standing behind me, smiling. The performance never ends. Not when the whole world's watching. Not when they've already paid. Not when your face is already theirs. And the next show starts at midnight. See you there. We rented an Airbnb in the woods. The Wi-Fi auto-connected to a dark web server called Room 666. Hey, Reddit. I've never posted on here before, but after what happened last weekend, I needed to get this out of my head. Maybe it's all in my imagination. Maybe it's trauma. Or maybe something genuinely wrong is happening out there. I don't expect anyone to believe me, but if even one person thinks twice before renting a random cabin in the woods, especially through Airbnb, then posting, this was worth it. So here's what went down. Background, just a chill weekend getaway. Or so we thought. Me and 3 of my friends, Jason, Amber, and Max, decided to rent an Airbnb for the weekend to get away from everything. No school, no TikTok drama, no doom scrolling on Twitter, just some peace and quiet. We were all in our early 20s, still juggling college and part-time jobs, and we just wanted to vibe, drink some White Claws, roast marshmallows, maybe even hike a little. We found this super secluded cabin on Airbnb. It looked like something out of a fall-themed Instagram post. Rustic wood walls, twinkle lights on the porch, even a little stone fire pit. The listing was called Nature's Hideaway, Disconnect and Reconnect. Cringe name, I know, but it had good reviews. Well, 2 reviews, both 5 stars. They just said things like peaceful and perfect weekend and didn't go into detail. We should have known right then. But whatever. The photos look legit, and the host, some guy named Stanley R., responded instantly when I messaged him. That's more than I can say for half the listings out there. We booked it for 2 nights, Friday to Sunday. The drive up. The cabin was in northern Vermont, like way up, almost near the Canadian border. The drive was beautiful, but also kinda sketchy. Winding roads, 0 signal for like an hour, and nothing but trees and deer for miles. At one point, we passed an abandoned gas station with a faded McDonald's sign lying flat on the ground, like it just gave up on life. That should have been another red flag. We got there just before sunset. The place looked exactly like the pictures. Maybe too much like the pictures. The same stack of firewood. The same red blanket folded on the couch. Like, identical. Amber even joked that it looked like a set, not a real house. But we were all just relieved to finally stretch our legs and crack open a few drinks. The Wi-Fi that wasn't ours. Here's where things got weird. We didn't expect Wi-Fi. The whole point was to disconnect, remember? But while we were unpacking, my phone vibrated in my hoodie pocket. I pulled it out and saw a notification. Connected to Wi-Fi. Room 666. I blinked. Then I laughed. Figured maybe one of my friends set up a hotspot with a joke name. I asked around. None of them did. Max was like, "Bro, I can't even get signal out here. What do you mean you're connected?" I showed them the screen. Amber pulled out her phone, and sure enough, she was connected too. Same name, Room 666. It wasn't password protected. It just auto-connected. No welcome page. No terms and conditions. Just full bars, lightning fast speed. Now, here's the messed up part. The Wi-Fi didn't work for anything normal. You couldn't open Instagram. Snapchat would just spin and say, no connection. But if you opened your browser, specifically if you typed anything into Google, it would instantly redirect to a black screen with white text that said, "Welcome back to room 666. Pick a door." 3 doors showed up on screen. Literally, just grainy photos of old wooden doors, like actual doors, not web graphics. One was red, one was black, and one was blue. We all stared at it like it was a prank. Jason was like, "Yo, this is some dark web crap. Exit out." But of course, Max, being the chaotic idiot he is, clicked the red door. The browser froze for a second. Then the screen glitched. Not like lag, like actual screen tearing, flickering, like an old VHS tape melting. Then, a video started playing. The video, it was shaky, like it was filmed on a handheld camera from the early 2000s. The audio was static at first. Then a voice came through, low, slow, like someone whispering through a fan. They never left. The camera showed the inside of a room. Wood walls, a fireplace, a couch. It was our cabin. Like, not just a similar room. It was the exact layout. Down to the red blanket on the couch and the empty White Claw can Max had just tossed on the floor. Then, the camera panned to the window. It zoomed in slowly on the reflection in the glass. Someone was standing behind the person holding the camera. A tall, thin figure in all black. No face, just a blur where the face should be. The video cut out. Max backed away from his phone like it bit him. Jason was full on yelling now, demanding we shut everything down and leave. But Amber, always the logical one, said it had to be some kind of viral marketing or ARG. I wanted to believe that, until my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a notification from room 666. I didn't even know that was possible. It said, "Door opened. Visitors expected. Please stay inside." After midnight, the hosts, around 11:30 p.m., we were all downstairs, trying to calm down. Max kept checking the window. Jason had a kitchen knife in his hoodie pocket, and Amber was on her laptop, trying to find any info on room 666. Then we heard it. Gravel crunching outside. We froze. There were no other cabins for miles. No neighbors. No park rangers. But headlights were coming up the trail. A beat-up silver van pulled into the driveway. No license plate. No one got out. We killed the lights and hid upstairs in the loft, peeking through the slats. I was shaking so bad I thought I'd pass out. The van just sat there, engine idling, for what felt like 20 minutes. Then the back door slowly opened. 2 figures stepped out. They were wearing old-fashioned black raincoats, like 1950s detective movie vibes. Wide brim hats, faces covered in cloth, like those plague doctor masks, but without the beaks. They walked up to the front door, knocked 3 times, slow, measured. Then they walked around the side of the cabin, out of view. That's when I saw it. On the kitchen table downstairs, where none of us had put it, was a burned DVD in a clear jewel case. Written on it, in black Sharpie, "Do not watch until midnight." The second the clock on my phone flipped from 11:59 p.m. to 12 a.m., the entire cabin went dead silent, like the air itself got sucked out. No crickets, no wind, no sound at all. Even Max, who never shuts up, just sat there trembling. We were all still crouched in the loft, staring at that burned DVD on the kitchen table. The silver van was still in the driveway, engine off now, and those 2 figures in raincoats, hadn't come back into view. It felt like the world outside was holding its breath. Max whispered, "Don't touch it. Don't even look at it." But then the TV in the living room flickered on by itself. We hadn't even realized the thing was plugged in. Static, then a black screen, then a message in white text. "Play the disc, or we come inside." Amber gasped. Jason muttered, "Nope, nope, nope," under his breath, and started reaching for his car keys, like we could just leave. But when he checked his phone to see if it had signal, his lock screen had changed. The wallpaper was gone. In its place was a grainy black and white photo of the cabin, shot from above, like a drone picture. And in that picture, 4 little white silhouettes standing in the loft window. U.S. Jason dropped his phone and whispered, "This isn't a prank. This isn't a prank. The disc. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but my hands moved on autopilot. I climbed down from the loft, every step creaking louder than it should, and picked up the DVD case. It was warm. Not like it's near a heater warm, like it had been sitting in someone's hands just seconds ago. The writing on the disc wasn't neat. It was carved, like someone had scratched, "Do not watch until midnight," into it with something sharp. Little flakes of plastic fell off when I held it. I slid it into the ancient DVD player under the TV. The tray closed and the screen cut to black. For a few seconds, nothing. Then an image faded in. It was a split screen, 2 camera feeds side by side. On the left was the outside of the cabin, the porch, the gravel driveway, the silver van still parked there. On the right was the inside of the cabin, our cabin, right now. And there we were, in the feed, crouched in the loft, staring at the TV. The camera was looking up at us from somewhere in the living room. The audio kicked in, heavy breathing, low and wet, like someone had run a marathon with a bag over their head. Then, in the outside feed, the 2 figures in raincoats appeared again. But this time, there were 3. A third one had joined them. This one was taller, its head tilted unnaturally to one side, like it had a broken neck. It held something shiny in its gloved hands, something long, a hacksaw. The crawl-space Jason had had enough. He whispered, "We're leaving." Right now, he started down the ladder, but Amber grabbed his wrist and hissed, "Look!" A T. The door. All 3 figures were now standing at the front door, not moving, not knocking, just standing there. And then we heard it, not from the door, but from directly underneath the floorboards, scratching, slow, deliberate scratching, like someone carving wood with a nail. Then a voice, faint but clear, from beneath us. "It's warmer down here." Come see Amber went pale. "There's a crawl space," she whispered. "I saw the hatch in the back hallway." We all stared at her like she'd lost her mind. But then, as if to answer, the TV screen flickered and showed a new angle, a night vision view of the crawl space under the cabin, the dirt floor, cobwebs, a low ceiling of wooden beams, and in the center of the frame, something moving, a person, crawling on all 4s, too fast. I hit the power button on the TV. Nothing. Yanked the cord from the wall. Still nothing. The screen stayed on, showing the crawl space and that thing crawling closer to the camera. Its limbs bent wrong, like it had been broken and put back together by someone who didn't know how bones worked. Jason finally snapped and bolted down the ladder. He sprinted to the hallway and yanked at the front door. It wouldn't budge. The deadbolt was gone. Just gone. Not locked. Gone. That's when Max shouted from the loft, Guys, guys, the hatch is open. We looked back. The small square door in the hallway floor, the one Amber had seen earlier, was now wide open. No one had touched it. Dirt smell wafted up, damp and rotting, and from the darkness a hand reached out. Pale, long fingers, nails broken down to the quick. It didn't grab anyone. It just waved. The sound. Then the sound started. A low, droning hum, like a generator, but mixed with whispering. You couldn't tell what the voices were saying. It was like hearing 100 people talking underwater. My stomach turned because I realized it wasn't coming from one place. It was coming from inside the walls. Amber covered her ears and screamed. Jason ran to the kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife he could find, and started hacking at the window frame to break it open. Every time the knife hit the wood, the sound got louder. Max was still frozen on the loft ladder, staring at his phone. I climbed up and saw what he was looking at. His phone had opened the browser by itself. Room 666 was still up, but now the page just showed one sentence. Choose who stays. Choose who leaves. Below, it were our 4 names. Clickable. The basement. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I thought there was some clue down there. Maybe I just didn't want to be in the same room with that screen anymore. But I went to the hatch. The dirt smell was stronger now. Metallic, like blood and wet pennies. I pointed my flashlight down. There was a tunnel carved into the earth. Wooden support beams every few feet. Symbols scratched into them. Some looked like letters. Some looked like faces. All of them gouged so deep the wood splintered. The tunnel went farther than my light could reach. The whispering sound was louder here, and between the whispers, faint crying. Jason was shouting at me not to go down, but behind him, the figures at the door had started pounding now. Slow, heavy thuds, like a sledgehammer against meat. Then I heard it. A voice from the crawl space. Not a whisper this time. A voice I knew. My own voice. We're waiting. Don't leave us down here. I swear to God, I saw my own face looking up at me from the darkness. Pale. Filthy. Eyes too big. Smiling. The smile didn't look human. That's when the TV upstairs changed again. Amber screamed. It was showing a live feed of the crawl space. 4 shapes crawling toward the hatch. 4 of us. I'm shaking. Writing this. I'll post part 3 soon if you want it. But you need to understand, nothing about this felt like a dark web ARG anymore. It felt old. It felt wrong. Like the cabin had been waiting for us before Airbnb even existed. And whatever was under that house, it already knew our names. The smell of the crawl space was in my mouth now. It wasn't just dirt and damp wood anymore. It was sweet and rotting, like fruit left in the sun. The hatch stayed open behind me, like a gaping mouth, and from it the sound of us, the other us, kept echoing up. Jason had wedged the kitchen knife into the door frame, trying to pry it open, but the wood splintered in a way that made no sense, like it was alive. Amber was shaking, clutching Max's arm, whispering prayers under her breath. Max wasn't even looking at her anymore. He was staring at his phone, which now just showed one line of text on room 666. The cabin takes what it's owed. The van outside. The silver van's headlights clicked back on, but they weren't normal headlights anymore. They were red, glowing like eyes. Through the window, we could see movement in the front seat. Not people. Something else. Hands too long for arms. Necks bent at angles no one's neck should bend. They were pressing their palms against the windshield, leaving smears like oil. The three figures at the door had stopped knocking. Now they were whispering, not words we knew, just a sound that made my teeth ache. It felt like it was inside my head instead of my ears. Every time they whispered, the lights in the cabin flickered. Max changes. Max suddenly started laughing, not like a nervous laugh, like a choking, guttural laugh. He turned to us, and his eyes were wrong. Dark, but not like dilated pupils, more like holes. He still sounded like Max, but the voice didn't line up with his mouth anymore. "You can't fight it," he said. "You already opened the door." Amber screamed and tried to run for the stairs, but Max grabbed her arm. His fingers were pale, veiny, like something wearing Max's skin. He held her like she weighed nothing. Jason lunged forward with the knife, but stopped mid-swing, eyes going wide, because Max wasn't holding Amber anymore. The thing wearing Max's face was holding me. I was still standing near the hatch, but in Jason's eyes, it was me in Max's grip, screaming. In my eyes, it was Amber. Everything flickered. The room, the lights, our bodies, like a bad video feed, switching who was where, who was who. The TV flickered back on. New text. "You can't tell who is who." The crawl space comes up. The dirt under the hatch began to rise, like something crawling up a ladder we couldn't see. A hand shot up first. Pale, long fingers, nails cracked, like the hand that had waved before. Then another. 4 of them. They weren't exactly us, but close enough to make me sick. Their faces were ours, but stretched, like wax figures left near a fire. Their eyes rolled independently of each other. Their mouths whispered our own words back at us, but wrong, too slow, too deep. Jason dropped the knife and backed away, muttering, "No, no, no, no," over and over. Amber clutched my arm so hard I felt her nails dig through my sleeve. The things crawled out of the hatch one by one, knees bending the wrong way. They weren't just climbing, they were unfolding. The choice, Max, or whatever was wearing Max, looked at me and smiled. His teeth were black at the gums. "It only takes one," he said. "The others can leave." And as he said it, our phones all vibrated at once. We pulled them out. New text from room 666. "Choose who stays. Choose who leaves. No choice equals all stay beneath it," were our 4 names again, each one flashing. Jason started yelling at me to pick someone. Amber was crying, saying we could figure it out. Max, or the thing inside Max, just stood there, smiling. The copies of us were crawling closer, heads tilting, whispering, reaching. The whispering sound was louder now, but I could make out words for the first time. They weren't asking, they were promising. "You won't be dead. You'll be ours. You'll be underneath." The hatch behind them had gone black now, like a hole in the floor that went down forever. The glass. Jason snapped. He grabbed the knife again and smashed it against the nearest window. This time it cracked, but not like glass. It cracked like a mirror. And behind the crack wasn't the woods. It was the crawl space. I swear to you, outside the window, where there should have been trees, there was the same dirt tunnel, the same low beams, the same symbols scratched into the wood. Our reflections in the glass were wrong too. They were smiling. All of them. Jason kept hacking at the glass until his hands were bleeding. The window finally shattered inward, not outward. Dirt spilled in, dry and cold. He dropped the knife, staring at his hands. His fingernails had gone black. Amber screamed. The Max thing tilted its head and said, "You broke the door." The red light, everything went red, not like a light bulb turning on, like the color itself replaced the air. The cabin stretched. The walls were farther away, then closer, then bending. The furniture melted into shapes I didn't recognize. The hatch in the floor was now a gaping pit. The other us were at its edge, still whispering. One of them stepped forward and reached for me. It smiled with my face and said, "You don't have to fall. Just give us one." Amber was sobbing. Jason was clawing at his own arms, trying to wake himself up. Max had gone completely still, his smile frozen. And then the third figure from outside, the tall one with the crooked neck, stepped through the wall. Not the door, the wall. It moved like paper around it. Its face was a blur, but its hands were clear, long, sharp. It reached out toward me, the last thing I remember. I don't know how I did it. I grabbed Jason's phone. The room 666 page was still open. My name was flashing. Amber's name was flashing. Jason's name was flashing. Max's name was flashing. I pressed Max's name. The screen went black. The whispering stopped. The red faded. The other us froze, like mannequins. Max screamed, but it wasn't a human scream. It was like metal tearing. His body bent backward at the spine, joints popping one by one. His eyes rolled up until only white showed. Then without warning, he was gone. Just gone. The hatch slammed shut. The figures at the door vanished. The van headlights went dark. The TV turned off. It was just us. Me, Amber, and Jason. The cabin looked normal again, but the smell of dirt and blood was still there. Amber whispered, "Where did he go?" Jason whispered, "You know where he went." I didn't answer. I couldn't, because when I looked down at my phone again, it had a new message. "Welcome to room 666. 3 guests remaining. Next choice. Midnight. I don't think clocks work right in that cabin." After Max disappeared, everything felt off. Time slowed, sped up, stopped. I looked at my phone and it said 12:04. I blinked and it said 11:57. The digital clock on the microwave blinked 99:99. Jason was pacing in circles, mumbling. Amber was pressed up against the window, like she could see some way out, even though all that was out there was dark trees and a dead van. I was still holding Jason's phone, my thumb hovering over room 666. The last message was still on the screen. "Welcome to room 666. 3 guests remaining. Next choice. Midnight." But the countdown wasn't stopping. Midnight wasn't passing. It was looping. And outside, somewhere far away, we could hear a bell. Slow, measured, counting. The van without doors. We hadn't heard the van in hours, but suddenly its engine roared to life again. The sound vibrated through the walls, like a heartbeat. Amber pulled me toward the window. The van wasn't a van anymore. It was the shape of a van, but wrong. No doors, no windows, just metal. Smooth, pulsing, like a lung. Something was moving inside it, pushing against the walls, stretching them like skin. Jason whispered, "It's for us. It's waiting." The mirror room. We tried the back hallway. There had been a bathroom there before. Now it was a room lined with mirrors, cracked, dirty, some fogged over like they were breathing. Every mirror showed us at different angles, but not as we were. In one, Amber's face was gone, just smooth skin. In another, Jason had no eyes, just hollow pits. In one, I was standing behind myself, hand on my shoulder, smiling a smile I've never seen on my face. At the far end of the mirror room was a door we hadn't seen before. It had no handle, just a keyhole, black and wet like an eye. When Jason leaned in to look, something on the other side looked back. He screamed and staggered back, clutching his head like someone had poured boiling water into his ears. His nose started bleeding immediately. The mirrors all whispered at once. Not echoes, actual whispers. Stay, 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 Amber cracks. Amber started laughing, not like Max had. This was worse. She pressed her forehead to one of the mirrors and whispered, "We never left. We never left." When she pulled her head back, the mirror stuck to her skin. It stretched like gum, clinging to her face. She clawed at it, but it held on. Her reflection in the glass started moving on its own, screaming silently, pressing its palms to the inside of the mirror. Jason yanked her back, and the mirror snapped free with a wet sound, like tearing skin. But when Amber turned to us, part of her face was missing. Not bloody, just gone, like someone had erased it. She touched the blank spot and started sobbing. The mirror she touched now showed only dirt and wooden beams. The crawl space again. The stairs. Down we ran, not even sure where. The cabin didn't match the layout anymore. The living room had doubled in size. The kitchen door led to another hallway that shouldn't exist. Then we found stairs. Narrow, spiraling down, made of wood too soft to hold weight. They weren't in the cabin before. We could smell earth and rust coming up from below. Jason said, "We're not going down there." The room 666 page on my phone refreshed by itself. "Go down or be taken." Amber was already halfway down before we could stop her. Her missing face patch looked darker now, like it was spreading. She didn't even look back. The hallway beneath the stairs ended in a hallway of dirt and old stone. Support beams carved with symbols, like the ones in the crawl space. Only now they were fresher, wet. Something had carved them recently. There were doors on either side of the hallway, all different. One metal, one wood, one glass. Each had a little plaque on it with a name. Not our names. Names we didn't know. I peeked through the glass door. Inside was a tiny room with no ceiling, just darkness above. In the corner sat a girl in a hoodie, knees to chest, rocking back and forth. She looked up at me. Her face was blank except for a mouthful of teeth, too big for her head. She whispered my name. Jason yanked me back. "Don't look. Don't look." In the red room, at the end of the hallway, was a single red door, the same red as the first door on room 666 we'd clicked. It pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. Amber was standing in front of it, trembling. "It's warm," she whispered. "It's like it wants me." Jason tried to pull her back, but the door opened on its own, not outward or inward. It opened like a mouth. A wave of heat and smell hit us. Not blood, not rot. Something older. Inside was a cavern, huge and echoing. The walls were lined with shelves of old televisions, all showing grainy footage of the cabin from different times. Decades. People we didn't know, sitting on the same couch, walking the same halls, screaming at the same windows. Some of the screens showed us. Not from earlier, from later, from now. The table. In the middle of the cavern was a table. On it, 4 objects. A rusted key, a burned DVD, a silver coin, a piece of paper with words written in something dark. "One more. One more. One more." Amber picked up the coin. The cavern flickered. For a second, she wasn't Amber anymore. She was someone else. Older, hair matted, eyes wild. She dropped the coin and screamed. Jason grabbed the key. The red door slammed shut behind us. The televisions all went black except one. It showed Max, sitting cross-legged in the crawl space, smiling. His skin was gray now, his mouth open too wide. He whispered, "It's warmer down here. Come see The vanishing, the cabin began to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. The shelves of televisions tilted. Amber fell to her knees, clutching her head. Jason shouted at me to use the key, but there was no lock. The room 666 page on my phone refreshed again. You chose once. You must choose again. Midnight never ends until you do. Amber reached out for me, crying. Her missing face spot had spread to her eye. It was just a hole now. Jason screamed, "Don't pick me!" over and over, like saying it would make it true. The cabin's walls began to close in. The shelves of TVs toppled, smashing, spilling out static and screams. The ground under the table cracked, showing the same endless blackness as the hatch upstairs. I could feel something rising under my feet. Not air, not heat. Hands. The last second. I looked at the phone. 3 names. Mine, Amber's, Jason's. Flashing. Amber whispered, "It doesn't hurt if you don't fight." Jason whispered, "Please." The hands broke through the floor now. Pale, long, grabbing at ankles, knees, wrists. They didn't feel like hands. They felt like ropes, pulling, slow, but unstoppable. I don't remember touching the screen. I just remember Jason's scream. It cut off like a tape stopping. He was gone. Just gone. The hands withdrew. The floor sealed itself. Amber and I were alone in the cabin. The red door opened again, slow, creaking. The televisions flickered back on, all showing the same thing. Us, walking toward the door, smiling. I don't know how much more I can write. We weren't in a cabin anymore. We weren't in a basement. We were somewhere else. Somewhere the cabin had led us, and time wasn't moving right anymore. There's still one more choice. The phone keeps telling me, but the names on it now aren't just ours. They're names I don't know. Hundreds of them. Thousands. And above it all, a new message, blinking. Final room, 666. I'm not sure if writing this down is even real anymore. My hands feel like someone else's. The keys look warped, like they're made of wax, and will melt if I press too hard. But I have to finish it, because what I saw, what we were forced into, wasn't a story. It was a place. Amber and I were standing in the cabin after Jason was gone. The floor was still cracking, but it wasn't just dirt now. Beneath it were faces, dozens, pale gray faces, opening their mouths, but making no sound. Some had their eyes sewn shut. Some had no mouths at all. The phone vibrated again. The screen changed. It no longer had 3 names. It had 1 word. Enter. The room without walls. The red door didn't lead back to the cabin. It didn't even lead anywhere that could be called a room. It was like stepping through the mouth of a tunnel and ending up inside a lung. The walls pulsed with slow, wet movements. Everything was soft underfoot, but not dirt. Skin. Amber grabbed my arm. Her missing face spot was now a full blank oval on one side of her head. She couldn't even cry anymore. No tear ducts left. She just made a sound like air leaking out of a balloon. Ahead of us was a corridor, but the corridor kept moving. It didn't turn left or right. It folded. The floor curled up the walls. The ceiling rolled beneath us. And all the while, there were shapes inside the walls. They weren't people. They were outlines of people, pressed just beneath the surface, mouths opening and closing. We walked for what felt like hours, but the phone clock still read 12 o'clock. The screens. We came to a chamber full of screens, thousands, stacked on each other like bricks. Every screen played a video, all different, but all the same idea. People in rooms, people at computers, people staring at their phones. Some of the people were crying, some were screaming, some were still. Amber pointed at one of the screens. It showed a living room, a couch, two people sitting there, scrolling on their phones. They looked like us. They weren't reacting, but on the TV in their room was footage of us in the corridor we were standing in. Every screen I looked at showed a different room 666. Different cabins, different houses, apartments, cars, all of them places where someone had unknowingly connected, all of them being watched. The mouth of the cabin. At the center of the chamber was what I can only describe as a mouth, not a literal mouth with lips, but an opening shaped like one. The walls around it were lined with teeth made of wood and metal, like fence posts. Above it, carved into the pulsing ceiling, "All guests check out." The mouth moved as if breathing. Each exhale filled the chamber with that sweet, rotting smell. Each inhale made the screens flicker. Amber collapsed to her knees. Her blank half face turned toward me, and she said, "It wants us to choose. It's hungry. It doesn't care which one." The phone refreshed again. Two names now, Amber and me. Beneath it, feed or be fed. Amber's choice. I couldn't breathe. Amber reached up with her hand. Half her fingers were gone now, like she was dissolving. "Please," she whispered, "make it fast." I wanted to throw the phone. I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to run. The corridor had sealed itself behind us. The screens all changed at once. They all showed Amber and me, standing in the chamber. In each version, I was doing something different. In one, I was running. In one, I was pushing her. In one, she was pushing me. In one, we were both crawling into the mouth. The walls whispered, "The room keeps what it is given. Give it, give it, give it." Amber reached for my hand. "Do it," she said. "Don't let it take us both." The feed-in. I pressed her name. I didn't even feel my thumb move. The screen blinked white. Amber went rigid, her back arching, her blank half face stretching until it covered her whole head like a sheet of paper. Then she was gone. Not like Max, not like Jason. This time, the room ate her. The mouth at the center opened wider. The teeth rotated inward. A wet sound like chewing. The screens flickered static. The phone refreshed. One guest remaining. The walls pulsed faster now. The faces inside them began to move, reaching, clawing, all whispering in unison. "Stay, stay, stay." The final room. I was alone, but not really. The corridor in front of me unfolded again, leading to a new space. A room shaped exactly like the cabin's living room, but wrong. The couch was there, the fireplace, the blanket, but every surface was covered in writing carved deep. My name, over and over, thousands of times. On the couch sat me, not a copy, not a stretched version. Me, same clothes, same face, same everything. It looked up at me and smiled. "You're late," it said. Its voice was mine, but deeper, like hearing yourself on a tape slowed down. It held up a phone, the same screen, the same two names, only now the names were me and me. Beneath it, final room, merge or be merged. The merging, the other me stood. It was taller now, its smile wider, its eyes blank, like everything that had been taken from Amber and Jason and Max had been packed into it. It opened its arms. "Come here," it said. "You were always supposed to." The screens in the walls showed every version of me making every possible choice. Running, hiding, fighting. But every video ended the same, being pulled into the other me. The room started folding inward. The couch melted into the floor. The fireplace stretched into a pillar of wood and teeth. The air filled with the smell of iron and dirt. The phone in my hand blinked off, then on, then off. Then it showed one last message. You were always room 666. The last thing I remember. The other me put its hands on my shoulders, cold, long-fingered. I tried to scream, but no sound came. Its mouth opened, and I saw the cabin inside it. The loft, the hatch, the mirrors, the van, all of it. Inside its throat, like a dollhouse, it whispered, "Check out," and everything went black. The aftermath. I woke up in my apartment 3 days later. My phone was on my chest. The screen was black. No apps, no background, just a blinking cursor in the corner. Every mirror in my apartment shows me smiling now, even when I'm not. Sometimes at night I hear scratching under the floorboards, slow and deliberate. And every time I open my laptop, even offline, a page loads by itself. Welcome back to room 666. Guests remaining 1. This is where it ends. Or maybe it doesn't. Because if you're reading this, if your phone vibrated while you were scrolling, if your Wi-Fi auto-connected without asking, then you're already in the next room, and you don't get to choose.